paid in full.
Hey, what's going on? You're tapped into another 180 Creators interview. I got another great guest today, Jason Butler. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. How are you today?
I'm good. It's been a long day, but I'm ready to get into it.
I appreciate you having me out.
Oh, yeah. Recovery Road Productions. Let's get right into it. Where did the inspiration for that come from, and what is that?
Well, the Recovery Road part came from my battle of substance abuse and alcoholism. And man, I got clean and sober almost 3 years ago. I'll be 3 years clean and sober, May 17th of this year. Definitely been challenging. But man, I've kind of been involved in the music scene for a long time, helped with a lot of benefits and stuff over the past 10, 12 years. And I finally wanted to put a brand to it and really put something out there that people could attach themselves to. Not only does it get to bring music and fundraising and stuff like that to our community, man, it gives me an opportunity to give my testimony as far as no longer being in recovery, but being recovered.
Right.
You know, I can't stand the word recovery. For people to say you're an addict all your life is not fair.
Right.
At some point, you have to understand that you're no longer addicted.
Yeah, you won.
That you have recovered.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, I kind of looking at that 3 year mark as I'm no longer in recovery. I have recovered.
That's sweet.
And I kind of associate that with a friend of mine, been sober 17 years and still goes to AA meetings and introduces himself as an alcoholic.
Oh, wow.
And I told him the other day, I said, brother, you're not an alcoholic anymore.
Not after 17 years.
You haven't drank in 17 years, you know? And a lot of times it's just part of the system that's beat into our heads as addicts, you know, that you're going to relapse at some point. If you quit going to meetings, you quit doing this, you're going to relapse. And
is that what's said by the AA people or just in the community?
It's kind of in that community. It's not necessarily just an AA thing. You know, the popular term in recovery is relapse is a part of recovery. Well, it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be, right?
It doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
You make that choice, just like you did many years ago to get started in it. You can make the choice to stop.
Right.
And yeah, it's a battle to get away from it for a while. But man, once you hit a certain mark, you're recovered. You know, and I saw a video not too long ago that said exactly that. And I'd never thought of it that way. And I watched that video and I was like, man, I'm not an addict anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I haven't done drugs. I haven't drank in over 2 years. 1,072 days or something like that, you know? And I'm like, dude, at some point, when do I get to stop saying I'm addicted?
You're just a regular guy now.
I'm just a regular guy now, you know, with a great testimony of you can get away from that.
Right.
And Recovery Road Productions is the heart of that.
Right.
Recovery Road Productions is about bringing local musicians together to help raise money for local nonprofits and individuals in need in our area.
Yeah.
We're not donating to what I call the big box nonprofits, where your money goes to California or New York or, you know, and those, I'm not saying those are bad things. They help people. But when you got a CEO that makes $100 million in a year, man, I just don't feel good about giving to that nonprofit. When we have so many in our area right here in Bowie County and the surrounding areas, man, that are giving back to our community right now. A perfect example of that is the Tough Cookie Foundation. I did an event for them back in April, I believe it was, and they help local cancer patients in this area. And we raised, I think, around $2,500, $3,000 for them. And I just found out last week, the guy that usually does the sound at my events, his wife has breast cancer. And the Tough Cookie Foundation is helping her pay for some of her stuff. So I know the money we raised for that organization
going to the right
is
spot.
staying right here in our community, man.
I like that.
That's just a great feeling, you know.
You know, I was listening on Joe Rogan's podcast, and they Googled it. They were sitting there and they were really Googling about the percentages of where the money you donate goes to the big ones, and it was really scary. And that was like some of the times, like, the good ones were like in the 70%, like the really good ones that were actually doing the most with your money. That's like 70% of the money you give, and that's a good one.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and again, I have nothing against those nonprofits. They started out of small nonprofits and have just built something huge and have helped thousands and thousands of peoples over the year. But I'm more about the community we live in.
Right.
And let's keep it local. You know, we did 16 music events last year, from ranges of 5 musicians showing up to Hopkins Ice House on a Sunday brunch and raising a little bit of money to some bigger block party type events where we did a music festival. We had Chad Prather come. We had 8 bands that night. We did a Battle of the Bands last year. We had around probably about 3,200 people show up for Battle of the Bands downtown.
Wow.
And the one with Chad Prather, I think we had around 3,000 people show up for that one. And man, the money we raised at those events stayed right here in our community. And I love that part. You know, that's the fun part. And with 16 events last year, we raised a little over $70,000 for this community. Jeez. You know, and dude,
I like that. That's good,
man. It was crazy. I never even thought about it until I sat down at the end of the year and I started adding it all up. And I was like, holy crap! You know, I think we did make a difference. You know, and you know, I end every one of my events with the same statement of, if you surround yourself with amazing people, amazing things will happen.
Really?
And dude, we had the opportunity to surround ourselves with amazing people a whole lot of times last year. And they made amazing things happen. You know, we've already held 3 events this year and we're over the $11,000 mark already.
Yeah.
And that was just 3 small events, you know, and we've got some much bigger ones coming that are going to be crazy.
Tell me about that big one that you was telling me about.
Man, the Recovery Road Music Festival is Labor Day weekend. This has kind of been a dream of mine that kind of came to fruition this year. It's going to be in Omaha, Texas. A good friend of mine out there, Brandon Cook, owns BC Cycles. We did a couple of events out there last year to help them raise some money for the Biker Down Fund, which helps motorcycle riders who've been involved in accidents. And he came to me and he's like, I got 55 acres here. What do you want to do?
Wow.
And I was like, let's hold a 3-day music festival. I mean, literally, that was my response right then on the spot. And he's like, let's do it. And I'm like, oh, crap. You know, all right, let's do it. And we've got 19 full bands and 12 solo and duo artists signed up for a total of 32 sets of music over 3 days. Food trucks, vendors. There's a beer wagon coming, you know, which for my sobriety, that stuff doesn't bother me anymore.
Yeah.
I just want everybody to have a good time, and it's an opportunity to raise money. They're actually donating 10% of their sales back to the organization, you know. Alexis Holder from Black Pines Gallery is coming to do tattoos all weekend.
That's cool.
You know, I've looked into a lot of music festivals. I have not seen that at a music festival yet, where you have an on-site tattoo artist giving, you know, handing out tattoos all weekend. Yeah. $50 flash, I think is what she's doing.
Oh, wow. She'd probably make a killing.
Yeah, oh, dude, they're going to be lined up at her spot the whole event, you know. And we think it's a great opportunity to raise some money for a great fund and really showcase the local music talent that we have in this area. And I'm going to tell you, Northeast Texas and right around Arkansas, Oklahoma, in this area, man, I'll put the talent we have here up against anybody. Against Dallas, Houston, wherever. Wow. The musicians we have in this town are so talented. And just like I said, this area, it's crazy, bro. I would say probably 80% of the bands are all local, within 100 miles of Texarkana. We've got a couple coming out of Arlington. We've got one coming out of Shreveport. Man, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of work. I'm going to be tired, you know, but I can't wait for that event. You said 55-acre field, a piece of land. Is there electricity there? Or? No, which we have electricity at one location. We'll have 2 stages going. The sound crew we use, Omega Entertainment, local company here in Texarkana, Dwayne Williams. Shout out to Dwayne. He does most of my bigger events. They'll bring their generator for all their stuff. But like the food trucks and stuff like that, they're responsible for their own power, you know, and most of them are equipped with generators. Yeah, my buddy, you know Tyler Trout for Underground Pizza? I know Tyler. Tyler's a good dude. Shout out, Tyler. Love you, bro. Yeah, he came on here. That's my boy. He's donated gift cards and stuff to some of the events we did last year. I love Tyler. He's a great dude. And but yeah, there's a main area where we'll have the big stage, and then there's kind of a wooded wood line and then a secluded area back behind that. And we're actually going to do tent camping back there.
Oh, yeah. So somebody can just stay there the whole time?
Yep. $20 a night for the tent camping. But with tent camping, you get the live DJ after party. You get the bonfire. You get the free s'mores. You know, I think we're working on getting watermelons to hand out and stuff like that.
Wow.
You know, we're gonna make sure they get their money's worth for $20 a night.
Right.
But yeah, it's really the first big event that we've put on that we're charging admission to. You know, every event we held last year was free to get in. Well, our New Year's Eve block party that we had downtown, I think we charged $10 a person for that. But this one is it's much bigger than any of those. And
yeah, it sounds like a lot of pieces.
Yes, there's a lot of pieces and a lot of money going into this thing, you know. So I need everybody to come out and kind of support what we're doing. I need around 3,000 people come through the gate to really be able to give back a good sum and get everybody paid and, you know, do all of that. But, you know, we also rely on sponsors to help pay for the stuff. The sponsors, I have a list of so many, bro. It's too many to give shout outs to everybody on the air. But I will say I'll give a special shout out to Alpha Stone. Love my cuz over there. He provides me a lot of hats and shirts, and I love him. And he helps out with nearly every event. And absolutely a cut above. It's a local dog grooming shop. And she's small business and donates to every event.
Wow.
Literally every event I did last year, she either donated a gift card or donated money. So we absolutely love them. And, you know, we don't ask people for thousands of dollars. It's $100, $50, $200, whatever you can manage. You know, and we're gonna give you social media shout outs. We're gonna do everything we can to promote small business in this area.
Yeah, we might have to we hit you up from Teel Septic.
Absolutely. I'll give you the sponsor sheet. You know, we've got one coming up in June called Music for the Mission. There's a nonprofit called Mission at Ease, and we're holding a block party downtown in front of Hopkins. Mission at Ease is a veterans nonprofit that they take disabled veterans on hunting trips and fishing trips.
Oh, cool.
And man, I'd been looking for about 2 years for a good veterans nonprofit that I wanted to be a part of. And man, when I met that guy, he was at, I think he was at my Twin City Music Festival last year. And man, we hit it off right away. And I love what they're doing. And I kept telling him, I'm going to do one for you. I'm going to do one for you. And we finally got it together. So that's June 22nd, downtown. Music for the Mission. And man, we got a great lineup for that one. That one's going to be a lot of fun. We got 5 bands coming, vendors, a couple food trucks. We're charging, I think it's a $5 cover to get in that one. Nothing. And for 5 bands, man, you're paying $1 a band.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, come on.
That's pretty cool.
You're not going to get that price anywhere else. So our one we got coming up next, though, is a good one. Hopkins Ice House is celebrating 15 years of being open. And they kind of did the music part of this one. They've got Mayday by Midnight coming and the Jackson James Band. But they called us and said, hey, we want y'all to come out and use this celebration to help raise some money for somebody. So we're putting together a silent auction and stuff like that for Texarkana Resources, which is a great local nonprofit. We absolutely love them. I toured their facility today. If you've never been there, man, let me know, and I'll get you a tour set up. You can go over and check it out.
What do they do? I think you told me before, but I was thinking about setting up.
So they deal with adults with disabilities in our area, such as autism, anything on the spectrum in that nature. Man, they have a great program out there. They have classes. They have work programs. They do all kinds of stuff out there. It's just a phenomenal nonprofit in our town. I absolutely love them over there. It's one of those places you go and you see their clients and you walk out of their building smiling every time because everybody is just so friendly and happy.
Yeah.
I'd been there a couple times, but never taken the official tour. And dude, I learned so much today. It was crazy. I didn't know they were partnered with Leadwell and JCM and things like that. You know, it was great, bro.
And you said that they'll let them they'll give them like a job type deal, huh?
Yeah, they have a whole workshop area in the back where they do packaging and stuff like that for different companies. There were a couple guys that were there. They've worked there for 40 years.
Hey.
You know, and like I was telling you, man, it's hard to find guys to work for 4 or 5 days.
For real.
These guys have worked for 40 years, you know, and man, they were so proud to tell me that they had been there for 40 years and how much they loved their job. You know, it's a great place, man. I definitely recommend check out their social media. give them a like and a follow, and
sure.
and check out everything they do over there.
Yeah, Texarkana Resources. I need to go do that. That'd be cool to go.
It's fun,
go
man. I'll set it up for you. I'll call them and tell them you want to check it out. It's great, dude. I'm telling you, you will walk out of there smiling, and just your day will be so much better just walking in the room with them.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like I've never had an interaction with somebody like on the spectrum or whatever, and that seems they seem like they're like happier than us.
Absolutely, and it's like. I told somebody today that actually worked there, I said, and why do we wake up every morning stressed about something?
Yeah.
When it could be so much harder for us, we literally wake up blessed every day.
Every time.
And without a disability, without the world coming down on us, or separating us from the crowd. And we have a tendency not to smile every day that we get to wake up, man.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It took me a while to realize that I am blessed every day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Every time. I have a question for you. I have a buddy, and he came on the show and we was trying to kind of raise some awareness for it. He's missing a hand.
Okay.
And he's trying to raise money for a bionic hand.
All right.
It's been kind of slow, because he's just been like asking, nicely asking people. But I don't know if maybe we could come up with some type of organize something to maybe help him out. But, we can talk about it after.
Let's talk about that after.
But
I'm definitely on board.
Yeah.
I can't do them all. I wish I could. I get a message, seems like every week now.
Every week, yeah.
I've been kind of labeled as the benefit guy.
Right.
Which I don't mind at all. I don't mind that at all. But, man, my schedule fills up so fast.
Yeah.
I'm already looking at events in December that we're working on now. Whereas last year it was a lot of what we call pop-up benefits, just like say for your friend, man, I'd put together an event in 10 days, and I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids at home. I still work, and I still try to do all this too, but man, I'll definitely get with you and we'll try to come up with something.
Yeah, maybe we could direct to somebody that could help me help him. You know what I'm saying?
There is I can't remember the name of it, but
because
there
I feel
is
like
a business in town.
Yeah, somebody you could direct me to somebody. That's what I'm. That's what I'm thinking.
There is a business in town. The Hanger Corporation, I think it's called. They're over off of Richmond Road, maybe, and they deal with prosthetics.
Cool.
Right here in Texarkana. So but yeah, we'll definitely talk some more about that. I'm all for it.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried to help him. It's just it's hard. You know how it is with benefits, because and I feel like that's something we could talk about too right now is, trying to get people to be able to give money to charities and stuff when the world is so financially hard right now.
The thing about that is, man, most people don't donate because they're not asked. Yeah. I think it was last year, maybe the year before, I think the percentage was about 78% of businesses in Texarkana didn't donate. And it was because they weren't asked.
Yeah.
And man, just for that little bit, say even $50, social media is the best form of advertising these days. And I've got a reach of close to 100,000 every 28 days. Yeah. So if I'm posting your stuff to my page, it's getting seen.
Right, yeah.
So if we're giving you shout outs on social media, we're making it worth that $50 donation for sure. And a lot of times it is going to a nonprofit. So it is a tax write-off in the biggest form.
Yeah, because can't most businesses give like $500 a year to charity that can be wrote off? Or
I think it's different for every business.
Is it really?
Okay. I have some that have donated a lot more than that.
Right. But they probably make a lot more profit.
We have a couple big corporations that kind of carry the load on us for us on some events last year. Harris Packaging out of Dallas. Man, the owners of that company, bro, are two of the best people I ever met. They're not even from here.
Yeah.
And they literally have supported almost every event I put on last year.
That's crazy because it's almost like an out of sight, out of mind thing you would think, but they are helping here. That's cool.
Well, they actually have property in this area, and this is kind of their getaway from the hustle and bustle of the corporate world. And, they were at Hopkins Ice House for a couple of events we did, and they loved what we were doing and how we brought music into it and everything. And man, we just, it became a lot more than just a sponsorship that I look to. I tell them all the time I love them because they're just amazing people. And I'm proud to call them my friends, and I wish they could sponsor every event, but I don't ask them to.
Right.
But there are a couple that, are near and dear to my heart, especially for Texarkana Resources. I usually do one for the Texarkana Literacy Council every year. Man, they support those every time. They were the ones that actually helped get me Chad Prather out to the event we did for the Texarkana Literacy Council last year. So they've bought into what we're selling as far as bringing a community together and trying to do some good stuff in this area.
Yeah.
I see it, man. There's a lot of great people around here.
There is,
but it gets overshadowed by gunshots and everything else because that's what everybody wants to focus on. Let's focus on the events that we're putting together and the events the city's putting together and looking at all the great things that are actually happening in our area that didn't happen years ago.
Yeah. The downtown push has been big.
Oh, it's been huge.
It's been huge.
And it is growing. Almost all of my events are in Texarkana, and I'm not from Texarkana.
Where are you from?
I'm from Sims, Texas originally. And I've lived in Hooks for almost 20 years now. But I have a special tie to Texarkana just because of the people that show up and volunteer for a lot of the events I do, and that's the musicians here. Man, I was a well-traveled drunk there for a little while, and I helped, I guess, be at a lot of music shows and give a lot of exposure and help promote and just try to get people to come out, man. And a lot of the bands and musicians are like, we love Jason Butler. He's at the shows,
Yeah.
And I don't remember half those shows because I was drunk most of the time. But
right.
Man, it allowed me to meet a lot of amazing people. And a lot of those folks are my biggest supporters in my sobriety now, man. And when I ask, they come. And
right.
they come quickly. We can literally fill an event in an hour of 5 or more bands. And there's not too many people that are going to be able to do that, you know.
Did you have to make an adjustment? Were you doing all this before you got sober?
I was, but man, it wasn't near as organized.
Right.
It wasn't on the professional level, that we're trying to put it out now. It wasn't near as often either. It was maybe 1 or 2 a year, and we did okay, but man, the memories that I'm actually holding on to now from these is so much better.
Right.
Like I said, I've kind of been involved in it for about 12 years. Had a really good friend of mine get diagnosed with cancer. I think it was going on 13 years ago now. And some other friends of ours, they started putting together an event for him, and they were like, hey man, you think you could help us out? And I'm like, yeah. And I think there were 3 bands that day. And when I say 3 bands, it was kind of one band that changed out a couple members and was another band and changed out a couple more and they were another band. And man, we raised about $15,000 that day in Sims, Texas.
Wow.
In about 5 hours. And I did all the silent auction stuff. And man, it was just one of those things to see all those people come together for somebody and be willing to donate and give back. And the tears that were shed and the love that was shown that day, it just put a hold on me, that never let go. And it was a couple years before I did another one, and another year before I did another one. And I just went all out. Last year I just hit the ground running. I didn't look back. It's something that's just near and dear to my heart. And man, God put it there, and I ain't letting go of it.
Yeah.
He's like, I need you to do this, and I'm like, okay, let's do it then. Let's put this face to it, which I haven't figured that out yet. I think we could have found a better, prettier spokesperson, but here I am. But yeah, I've made a lot of great contacts, man, and like I said, there's just a lot of amazing people around here.
Right. So you teamed up with Chase, you say, right?
Oh yeah, Chase is my boy. I love Chase Livingston. I met Chase at the High Powered Fitness event last year through Colton Foltz. And I don't know if you know Colton.
Somebody told me I need to interview Colton Foltz.
Yeah, bro, you got to get Colton on the show.
Yeah,
Colton
that'd be great.
He is a whole nother vibe of the path of peace, as I call it.
Yeah.
Colton is the creator of Universal Vibe, which is one of the biggest events in Texarkana. I think he's going on year 5 this year for that, maybe year 4 or year 5. And
is that something that's downtown?
Yes. And
I think I went to one of those.
Dude, it's so good. I've volunteered the last 2 years, and he's worked the crap out of me both years. I volunteered down there, but it's so worth it, man. I found another brother, you know?
Yeah.
And Colton told me, he said, man, you gotta meet Chase Livingston. He said, I think you and him will get together. And Colton was doing cold plunges out there at the high-powered event. And I'd been wanting to do one. And I was like, well, I can kind of kill two birds with one stone. I'll get my cold plunge in. I get to meet this Chase guy. And man, me and Chase, he was all over the place that day. You know, it was his event. But we found about 10 minutes that we got to just kind of stop and talk. And we clicked. Right. You know, like, this is my boy and that's my boy. And man, we've been kind of doing it ever since then. And this year he asked me to be a part of High Powered. And
that's cool.
I'm on the board of High Powered now. And, you know, we had our first event was supposed to have been last Saturday, the 5K, 10K.
I was going to run. Yeah.
But we got rained out June 1st. So you can still sign up.
Yeah, I'll be there.
And we rescheduled that for June 1st. And I think it's going to be a great event. We got pickleball next month.
I told him I'd come try that too.
That's May 18th, I think it is. Either May 18th or May 19th. And we got a lot of other great stuff coming with High Power too. So my plate is full.
Right, yeah, sounds like it.
But as Chase Livingston told me one day, he said, if you're not Jason Butler busy, you're not too busy.
Come on.
You know, so I'm like, bro, I don't know about it.
He's supposed to have me on his show. I'm excited.
I was on Chase's show. It's a lot of fun. You know, I got to really tell my testimony on that one.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know where it came from.
Yeah.
You know, January 4th of 2022, man, I just done 6 months in jail. And I come out of that Bowie County Annex homeless. You know, and look at me now.
Yeah.
You know, I'm buying a house. My kids lost their mom in an auto accident in 2022, just 8 months after I got out of jail. So I'm a full-time dad of 2 teenagers.
Oh, wow.
I have a small construction company I run. I built Recovery Road Productions to 16 events last year. You know, I'm on the board of a nonprofit. I've been a guest speaker at prison reentry simulators and all kinds of different stuff. You know, I'm a sponsor to 5 guys who are going through the same struggle that I went through. Man, but every second is worth it. You know, there's not one day that I wake up and I feel tired. There's not one day that I don't wake up and say, I give up, because there is no going back.
Right.
You know,
where are you getting that motivation from, you think?
Man, it all comes from God, brother.
Yeah.
It's all glory to God and what he's given me over the years. You know, I've always told people, God gives you a path in life and it's up to you to follow it. And most of us, the one thing that us as humans, we have that get us off that path is choice. You know, we all make a choice at some point what we're going to do in our lives, whether it be drugs and alcohol or just whatever, you know. And dude, my path was all over the place. And on that path, there were only 2 people that never abandoned me. And that one of them was my mama and the other one was God. And man, that's as true as it gets right there. And when I lost my mom 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I kind of hit a downward spiral again and went into depression, started drinking, started drugging again real hard. Man, God pulled me out of it, you know, and he kind of flipped that switch and said, Butler, get your crap together. Let's go. And he gave me my sobriety before I knew I needed it. You know, I got sober in May. Before I went to jail, I got sober. And then August of the next year, I'm full-time dad. And I'm looking at it like, bro, if I didn't get sober, where would my kids be right now?
It was like it was almost prepared that way, huh?
You know, God's got his plan, bro. He knows the day that me, you, whoever, that we're leaving this earth. We don't know it, but he knows it. And he knew that the kid's mom was going to be gone on that day. And he gave me everything I needed to be ready for it, even though you can't ever be ready for that.
Right, yeah.
But he set me on that path to be prepared. And man, I went from part-time every other weekend dad to full-time dad just like that in an instant, you know, on my ride home from a drug court class.
Wow.
You know, here it is. I go home and I'm home 10 minutes and I'm going to pick up my kids who live with me full-time, you know, and it was, bro, it was the revelation of you're not promised tomorrow. You know, we all hear it, we all say it, but until it hits close to home like that, in a tragic accident or a sickness or an illness or whatever, dude, you don't really understand it.
Yeah, death kind of reminds us of how fragile life is. But like it's almost like the longer you can go without tragedy, the more you can kind of forget, and then life happens. And then you're like, I'm mortal. This is not going to last. It could be me next,
I went to a funeral several years ago. It's probably been 10 years ago, maybe now. And the preacher that was preaching, he had talked to the guy. The guy had cancer. He was a family member and he was passing, he was on his deathbed.
Right.
And the preacher told us, he said, he wanted me to tell y'all something today. And he said, you don't need medical tests. You don't need doctors. You don't need anything to let you know that you're going to die. So you might as well start living. And man, those words right there, bro, if that don't mean something to you, you're not paying attention. Sure. We're all going to die, brother.
It seems like destined. It's so easy to get into the cycles of life and the patterns and stuff, and we forget that we're supposed to be like really trying to make something of it.
That's it.
And you could just go to work and go home and rest, and go to work and go home and rest, and miss the point of it, maybe.
And that is my motto in life: is break the patterns.
Yeah.
Well, it hasn't always been that, but the last few years, that's what it's become: is break those patterns. Take that trip. Go see that movie. Except for me, I go to the movies, I fall asleep. My kids will tell you that every time I'm asleep. Go to that concert. Go support that event. Go do those things, because we are not promised tomorrow.
For real.
And like I said, every day you get to wake up, man, we're blessed. We're blessed to be here right now. God's got a plan for all of us. And I think the biggest struggle a lot of people forget in life is we're not built to carry the mountain. We're built to climb the mountain.
Yeah, I like that.
You stop carrying that mountain and you'll start living again.
Yeah.
Eliminate those stressful times. I tell everybody I'd be just as happy with $20,000 in my pocket or $20 in my pocket. Because you know what? I'm going to eat that day either way.
Right.
And nobody going to out-hustle me for my meal that day.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be smiling either way, man. You catch me in a bad mood, something bad's wrong.
Yeah.
And my buddy Chase, he'll tell you that. It's hard to keep me from not smiling and enjoying life, because, man, I'm blessed to have it.
They say scientifically just the act of smiling is good for your brain and good for like you almost could be sad and just start smiling and trick yourself into a better mood.
And it's contagious.
Yeah. You see somebody smiling and laughing
and smile at somebody.
Yeah.
And they're going to smile at you back.
Yeah.
It's 99% of the time they wanted somebody to smile at you.
Right.
I do daily goals. Every day I put down 5 goals for the day. And man, it might be the simplest thing is, just pick up my room, do laundry, whatever. And a couple weeks ago, one of my goals was tell somebody I didn't know that I loved them.
Wow.
Well, it just so happened that day we went on a college visit for my daughter up at SAU. And we were in the cafeteria and I seen somebody sitting off to the side. My girlfriend and them don't even know about this because they were still in line getting their food. And I seen this girl sitting off to the side and she was all by herself. There's a lot of people in there, and then she had her ear pods in and was just chilling, and I was like, that's her.
Yeah.
And I walked over and I kind of tapped on the table and she pulled her earbud out and looked at me and I said, I just wanted you to know that you're amazing, that I love you. And Rose, she looked at me like I was crazy.
Right, yeah.
And I just turned around and walked off. And when I sat down, I looked over there, she was just smiling from ear to ear.
Yeah.
And you just don't know when somebody needs to hear that.
Right.
Or when you need to hear it. One of the things I practice every morning that is very difficult for someone that's been in recovery and you've done the wrongs that you've done and you do, look yourself in the mirror every morning and tell yourself you're proud of you.
Yeah.
Instead of hearing it from everybody else, because I get that all the time. Oh, I'm so proud of you. You're doing this and that. And I'm able to look in the mirror now and say, I'm proud of you.
That's important.
Of who I am now. 3 years ago, I couldn't have done that. And the tough part is that I was still doing events. I still felt like I was a legitimate part of a community, and was giving back in my ways. But, dude, I wasn't proud of who I was. All of that was an exterior shell. On the inside was empty. It was the hole on the inside. And now it's full. I am love, and when you get to that point in your life where you are love, you don't have to worry about anybody else loving you or not.
Yeah.
I am love. I don't.
Yeah, because if Yeah, that it starts within, you know, and it's like, and that's probably why you're able to pour out so much, because like if you're not taking care of yourself, you can't consistently give, you know.
We spend a lot of our time filling everybody else's cup.
Yeah.
You know, in my sobriety, I created kind of 3 steps, 3 rules, whatever you want to call it, for myself. The first one was making my circle so small I was the only one standing in it. And that was cutting off all those ties.
Yeah.
No matter who it was, family, kids, whatever, anything that brought stress into my life that made me want to go hide. And that's what I call it, being a coward and hiding behind the drugs, behind the alcohol. I cut that off. Number 2 was learning how to be selfish. And when I say selfish, everybody kind of takes that the wrong way. But man, I didn't get sober for anybody else but me.
Yeah, because it starts with you. And so you have to worry about you. Yep. It does make sense.
When I got sober for me, I started filling my own cup.
Yeah.
Where I didn't have to have anybody else filling my cup. And once my cup got full, rule number 3 comes into play. And that's learning not to be that selfish asshole anymore, to where you can let those outside things back into your circle, where you know you're at a comfortable point with yourself, where you're proud of yourself and you're strong, that you're not going to relapse because you have those everyday pressures.
Yeah, and now you're affecting now you're that positive influence.
Yes,
in the old circles.
Man, I was just a little over a year sober when the accident happened. Bro, you talk about testing your sobriety.
For real.
Bro, I went from every other weekend dad, like I said, to full-time dad. And now I've got kids who have lost their mom. And man, there's nothing worse than seeing pain in your children's eyes that you cannot fix. Yeah, they're 16 and 13.
Yeah, when my mom died, I was 17.
It's tough, man.
Awful.
You know, and I can't imagine that. You know, man, I was 40 years old when my mom passed away, and it was the hardest thing I ever went through in my life.
Yeah.
And now, as kids, my kids have to experience that for the rest of their life. And it's a pain in their eyes that I can't fix.
I'll tell you the worst thing about it. I don't want to get too sad, but I will say the worst thing is I don't know, like you were saying earlier, like you said, you know, your mom, that's the person that doesn't ever give up on you. And this, like, you lose that.
You lose it, dude. It's
because you can go to your mom. Like, I could always go to her, and then all of a sudden you can't. And so it's like, I don't know. I think it could make you like almost too tough, like, because a man needs his mom, I feel like, in a way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know, because you can be a tough guy all day, but it's like then it's mom.
Yep. Hey, you know, and before I really got sober, I was an emotional guy. You know, I wear my emotions on a sleeve. There's a different type of emotion. There's a lot of anger and a lot of resentment. And the tears I shed were out of anger and resentment. Dude, I cry all the freaking time now. Yeah. Man, I'm watching TikTok videos of some dude helping some homeless guy. I'm over there bawling. Yeah. You know, my girlfriend's like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I should have got into this today." You know? But man, but mom is that security blanket that we keep for as long as we can. You know? And to have it taken away is devastating in life. And I don't care if you're 17 or 45 or 65, whatever, when you lose your mom, you lose a piece of yourself.
I hate seeing when people are like not good to their moms. That hurts me. I'm like, dude, you don't know what you have.
You know,
you don't know what you got.
Man, I tell people all the time, call your mama.
Yeah, you got to.
You know, talk to them. She might be griping at you, whatever. Deal with it. There's going to be a day that you don't have that.
For real.
You know, and our connection with our dad as men, it's there.
Yeah. I work with me and dad run a company together. Yeah. It's rough. And I'm like him, I'm like a miniature version of him. So,
but you know, it's different. It's a completely different connection. You know, our moms is that dads make us tough. Moms take care of us.
Yeah.
You know, when you got that serious problem, you don't go to dad.
No.
Because you know you're going to get your ass chewed.
I damn near
get everything. You go to your mama. Yeah. And the mama's like, we'll take care of it. This is what we got to do. It's like the middle
person to like calm him down too.
Yes. Let me break the news to him, you know?
She did that a lot. She did a lot of that middlemaning for me. I was getting in a lot of trouble around the time she passed. And I don't know. She was going through a lot. And then our whole family was just, it was really some too deep of stuff to be going through as a 17-year-old to really process it. And then there's steps, just like sobriety, there's steps with grief, as well.
Oh, absolutely.
And trying to understand, like, and like, even to this day, like, I'll have a thought like, man, I was a part of that because I didn't do this, but then I had to think like, no, you were 17. You wasn't supposed to make the adult decision. Like, your brain's not fully developed till you're 25, and that's not necessarily an excuse, but at the same time, you're growing up, and I look back and I'm like, well, I could have done this and maybe that would have done this. And it's a battle for sure, but you just have to, I don't know, you just get to a point where you accept it. And what's sad is I don't really think you heal. I'm not sure that you heal all the way from grief. I'm not sure if you heal or you just get tougher from it, but I guess that's healing. It's hard. You know what I'm saying though, right?
I'm having to watch it in my kids every day, man. And, I see them get a little more comfortable, but you never get okay with it.
Right.
They went from not talking about it at all to where now my daughter, she wants to talk about it.
Yeah.
My son's a little different. He's only 13. He still don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
But
which
my daughter,
makes sense.
Yeah. And as a parent, you want to fix it. But bro, I can't force it.
Exactly.
And the common thing is, they need therapy. Tell me when I'm supposed to do that. What's the plan for that?
Yeah.
Tell me, okay, it's been this many days. Is this when I start therapy for my kids? And I finally, my daughter did some through the school, which was a great program. I loved it. It was an online thing, virtual, and she didn't want to do it, but I made her do it, because,
right.
and I hated it that I had to make her do it, but it benefited her a whole lot because I've seen, and it was only like six, I think, sessions altogether. But man, she's got so much more open to talking to me about it, and man, I'm going to tell you, as a single dad, having to have conversations with your 16-year-old daughter is the most awkward and uncomfortable thing in the whole worord.
I'm sure.
Because I had to go to the doctor with her not too long ago. Bro, my God. No.
I have a 18-month-old daughter.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And I'm so, I don't know. Right now, it's the perfect time. She's little and sweet. And she loves me. And it's daddy.
All that will backfire on you.
I know it.
I did the whole daddy's girl. I'm going to spoil the crap out of you. Yeah, and when they first learned that little tear running down their cheek makes daddy's heart just go thumpity thump, it's over for you.
Yeah.
You're done. That's it. And it don't stop, and it only gets more uncomfortable the older they get.
Yeah.
That doctor's visit, the doctor even asked me, are you comfortable with talking about a few things? I said, no.
I'm not. I mean,
yes, no.
No.
Okay, just do it.
Yeah.
And we're talking about, female problems. And I'm like, where's the hole I need to crawl into and hide right now? Because I don't want to do this.
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, my girlfriend is amazing. So thankful for her because my daughter has somebody to open up to about some stuff that I'm not comfortable talking about.
Some shit we just don't got the answer for. We do not know.
Now, I'll go to the store, I'll buy the feminine products, whatever. But man, I don't want to talk about none of that. Just send me the picture of what you need, and I'm going to the dollar store. Yeah. But after that, I don't want to know none of the details. That's where I draw the line. None of the details.
No.
I don't want to talk about birth control. No, because I'm dad.
Yeah, that's no. Jeez. I'm not ready. I don't think none of us are though.
Boys are so much easier.
Yeah, I have a son. He's 3.
Oh,
and it's been it's just so different. I could just, he gets out of line, I grab him up. Hey, boy, get it together.
Exactly.
Now go back in the yard.
Yep, they don't cry or nothing. Do that with your daughter when she's 3 and watch her cry. And then you're just like, I'm so sorry. For the longest time. She puts her head on
my shoulder and oh my God, I can't handle it.
For a while when my daughter was little, she would do something and I'd be like, I'm going to tell your mama on you.
Yeah. And see,
I can't do anything about it.
She can punish her better than I can.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Moms and daughters is a lot different than dads and daughters.
Yeah.
Moms have that I'll snatch you up and beat the crap out of you effect that we have on the sons.
Yeah, because she ain't worth a damn to my son as far as like getting him in line.
Oh, yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Quit.
That's mama's boy.
Yeah. It's just the opposite. Yeah. It's for real. That's a real thing.
Yeah. It takes them a little while to realize that they're literally raising a mini version of themselves as far as a daughter goes.
Yeah.
And they have to deal with it. And you're going to experience that same thing with your son when he gets about 10, 12 years old. He's going to look at you and you're like, holy crap, that's me.
Yeah.
And I was bad.
Yeah, I feel that. Yeah, the kids deal. Man, and I was talking about somebody, like even just bringing them home from the hospital, like my son. I was like, dude, I asked my wife in the car ride home, I'm like, can we do this? Like, they didn't tell us anything. Yep. We literally had a baby and went home with it. They
sent us home with it, and it's like, there's no guidebook to it. There's no proper training. There's nothing that's coming that you're going to be prepared for.
Right.
It is a roller coaster. I thought my daughter was the sweetest little thing. And then one day we found the cat in the refrigerator, and I'm like, what are you doing? I don't know. And it was like, we were fixing to leave for the whole day and you put the cat in the refrigerator. I mean, you just never know with kids, bro.
Oh, man.
They say the greatest thing in the world or the best thing in the world is watching your kids grow up. But also the hardest thing in the world is watching your kids grow up.
Yeah.
And man, that's one of the truest statements ever. I've loved the experience of watching my kids grow and learn and experience life. But now I'm at that point, man, my daughter's leaving for college in 2 years.
Wow.
And part of me's like, go. And then part of me's like, oh my God, my kid's grown.
Yeah. She's an adult. That's so crazy.
She's making adult decisions. I'm not that deciding factor anymore. She's literally growing up in front of my eyes, man. It's tough.
When you like raising your kids, did you understand your parents better? Because for me, I've like, even in just the 3 years and, I've looked at what my parents did and I'm like, okay, yeah, I understand a little bit better.
I understand my parents were great parents and they had a lot of patience and were great parents, period, know, and it makes me question a lot of the things I have done as a parent am I even a good parent, right. Because I don't have the patience that my mom had, or even my dad had. And it's tough. All of it's tough all the way around. And bro, you've got a lot coming your way. You are just getting started. That first day of school, oh my God. Just wait.
Yeah, I hated dropping him off at daycare. My son went to daycare and I was like,
Oh yeah, you're not ready for school yet. No. There's going to be that day that your daughter or your son is going to be like, Daddy, I don't want to go.
Oh, and you got to try to make them.
Tear running and you're like, what am I supposed to do now? What's the rules on this? I'll tell you this story real quick. My daughter was a Little League cheerleader for about 4 days. And I coached Little League football. So naturally, I'm taking her to cheer practice and then I'm going to football practice. And I'm there to drop her off for cheer practice. And she said, Daddy, I don't want to be a cheerleader. I said, okay, let's go. We're out. We're done. That was it. That's all it took. Her mom was so mad. We done bought uniform. We done paid fees. I was done. I was out of it. We had the same experience with dance. She came out, cried, Daddy, I don't want to go back. Then we're not going back, baby girl. That's it. But at some point, you got to start putting your foot down a little bit.
Yeah, make them do some things.
It makes it tough, though.
Yeah,
it just makes it even harder as they get older. They get more stubborn, like we are.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Like, what should you make your kids do? Like, because you want them to grow up and have to make their own choices, but at the same time, like they're kids and. Sometimes you have to make them make choices.
Speaking of kids, that's my daughter who doesn't have her driver's license yet. No insurance or tags on the car I bought her, asking me if she can drive to the store. Are you crazy? And I'm thinking about it. Man, I did the same thing.
Yeah, I did that.
And I asked and I went anyway.
Yeah, I went anyway.
I went anyway. And I'm like, for her, it's like, no way.
I was driving, I was 15 and I was in my mom's minivan and it was right over here at this gas station. And I got real lucky. I was playing on my phone and I was going to meet somebody and I rear-ended somebody, just barely. It was just a little tap. and it was this little Mexican guy, and he got out of the car, and he was real mad, and he looked at the back of his car and realized that like it wasn't nothing serious, and he like flipped me off and got in the car and drove off, and I was like, I have no license, no insurance, none of that. I mean, I just tapped him, you know.
Man, I don't know how old you are. I'm getting close to 50.
I'm 29.
You didn't, man. When we was kids, there weren't no cell phones.
Right.
It was crazy. I put my dad's car in the ditch one day. You know, I was showboating on a dirt road, put my car in the ditch. There was literally nobody around.
Right.
I got home. My parents already knew. And I'm like, how did y'all know? Nobody even saw the car. You know, I was on the dirt road in the middle of nowhere. Nobody drove by. The only person that showed up was my buddy that helped me pull the car out, you know, and they knew before I got home.
Wow.
And I'm just like, man.
Parents be knowing stuff.
All the time.
Yeah, like and like you're saying, sometimes like my mom would know stuff and I'd like, how?
Oh my gosh. Kids. Now I told her no, that she couldn't drive her car. Now it's, you don't trust me. That's so bad.
Is it just like a dollar store or something?
Mackenzie, I've been with you when you drove. No, don't do it.
I've been watching this. No,
please no. Please, Lord, no.
My neighbor, they were trying to teach their daughter how to drive, and let's say the house is like this, and the truck was right here, and I guess she put it in. She thought she was in reverse, and she put it in forward. And I was literally standing in my yard while it was happening. I was outside just watching my kids play or whatever. And all I just see is, boom, bang. She put the whole front end of it into their daughter's bedroom. Luckily, their daughter was out in the yard playing too. But it was
wow. You know, man, I'm the one that's trying to teach her how to drive.
Yeah.
She literally scares the hell out of me every time we go down the road. It is the scariest thing in the world. You know, the old fake brake over there.
Yeah.
I'm on the old crap bar.
Well, yeah.
I'm trying to keep myself from grabbing the steering wheel, and I'm a nervous wreck when I'm in the car with her. And I feel sorry for the police officer that she gets to take her driving test with. You know, I mean, and she's probably going to do great. But man, it just, as a parent, it scares the crap out of you. You know, when I was a kid, dude, I'd already drove the truck on the farm. We drove tractors.
Oh, yeah, that's how I was.
Dude, I was driving to school before I ever got my permit. You know, I had more hours in the car before driver's ed ever started than most people ever would these days, you know? And
right.
But with her, man, it scares the crap out of me. You know, I don't even like her going to Texarkana with her friends, you know, because it's just a different world out there now.
It is.
And
even for when I was a kid, I think it's different.
Oh, absolutely.
We would, you know, we didn't have phones neither. Like when I was a kid, I got my first phone. I think I was in junior high already. I was almost in 9th grade. And so all those other times, like we would be out on our bikes and we would just go miles. Like we would be gone.
Absolutely. You know, when I lived in Sims, the closest person to me that was a friend of mine lived 2 miles from me. You know, so I had to ride my bike down 990.
Yeah.
You know, which is a pretty busy road.
Yeah.
And man, we had no fear. I remember we rode our bikes from New Boston to DeKalb one time. With no fear.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't worried about getting kidnapped.
Or nothing. You just come home.
You just go and you make sure you're home before the street lights come on,
right.
You know?
Yeah.
And now I don't want my kids to walk to school hardly.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just, people have gone absolutely crazy in this world in a lot of ways. The morals and values are slowly diminishing away. And I hate it. I hate that this is what our kids are inheriting, you know, and as a parent of young children, that's what you need to look at.
Yeah,
look at the way the world is now and imagine how much change there's going to be in 18 years from now. You know, and I never get political on anything that I talk about. You know, it's tough when you're a business owner.
Yeah, because you don't want to say that.
I don't want to say the wrong things that make anybody mad. But the world today scares me a lot of times, you know.
I'm not with it. I'm not with a lot of that stuff. It's just what it is, but I'm not with it.
Hey, I'm about everybody having their own choice and all this and everything and being who they want to be and all that.
But it's different when I believe everybody has their own choice, but shouldn't be pushed.
Yes, exactly. Don't push your agendas on to me
or my kids.
Or my kids.
That's where it's scary.
And that is the scary part.
Because I try not to get political neither, but sometimes it's like, hey, at some point, like, I mean, do we do something or what?
I don't know. There's no right answer for that.
Yeah, because you're worried about possibly on some things like getting canceled or whatever they try to call it these days. But at some point, I think it's going to swing back the other way, and it's going to be like, hey, like,
who knows?
Some of this stuff is out of pocket.
I just try to teach my kids the same morals that I was brought up on, that my parents were brought up on, that my grandparents were brought up on, and hope that establish itself somewhere down the line. We don't go to church near as much as we should. I couldn't tell you the last time I've been, and that's on me. My kids go with some friends of theirs and stuff. It is tough. That's a tough thing when you do experience tragedy like that. You do kind of have a battle with that. Why did God? Why did God do this?
That's part of the grief steps.
And exactly. And it's not a lack of belief. It's just
it's logic. You're battling logic. That in your head,
yes.
Because it doesn't necessarily. It doesn't seem to. That's one thing that doesn't make sense in life.
Yep. And I tell a lot of guys that I sponsor, our biggest obstacle in life is ourselves.
Yeah.
If you get out of your own way, you'll do a lot more and move forward a lot more. But man, it's hard to get out of your own way sometimes. Do I believe in God? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do I pray? Absolutely. Do I go to church every Sunday? Absolutely not.
Right.
Am I still a sinner? Absolutely.
Right.
I still cuss. I still don't say the right things. I still don't treat my body like a temple. I eat the wrong stuff. I get tattoos. Man, God has given me a mission that's taking me outside of the church.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's just important. Just as important.
I feel like what I'm doing is God's calling.
Right.
And I feel like the people that I'm reaching are people that I would never see in the church. In the
church, yeah. So if you got to think unless you convince some drifter to come into church, you're not getting that person.
And a lot of times you're not going to do that. But you know what? I can take my testimony and I can take what God's given me to the streets.
Yeah. If you look at the New Testament a lot, because I've studied the Bible a good bit. If you look at the actual New Testament and what takes place in the actual New Testament, it is more like going into the streets with a testimony than going to church on Sunday.
Yeah, dude.
It's really more what it looks like in the actual Bible. But that's just
actually
my opinion.
So. I'm not a huge studier of the Bible.
Right.
It's been a long time since I even sat down and read scriptures. Now when I was in jail, I went to church regularly. Just to get out of your pod, you go. But you are absolutely correct. There weren't churches that Jesus met at every Sunday.
No. Or even Paul, who wrote 75% of the New Testament. Well, maybe not 75, but a good chunk of it. He was just out there.
Out there. Jesus walked his journey through the crowds of people.
Yeah. And it wasn't good folks.
And it wasn't good
folks.
And
the good folks didn't like Jesus.
That's right. And it's crazy. Even, the thing goes, even with everything he knew, he still washed feet.
Right.
And to me, that's kind of my mission.
Right.
Is I'm hoping my testimony helps clean some feet.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping I'm part of that, and I'm not going to do that in the church.
Yeah.
And it's, like I said, it's nothing against churches.
Yeah, but you can let the nice church folks do that. That can be their job.
Yes.
That can be their deal.
God has given them that task.
Right.
He's given me a testimony that reaches a whole different crowd, a whole different version of people that are out there. And I try to give it the right way. I don't know if I am or not, but
Seems like
God will judge me on that one in the end.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's like if you do what you feel like you're supposed to do, I feel like you're winning at life.
I truly believe in that, and at this point, it took me a long time to come out from behind the curtain that I'd put up myself to really see what God's plan for me was. And it's God's plan for me is to bring people together, whether it's in fellowship or whether it's in drunken bliss, donating to a good cause.
To a good cause, yeah.
They're doing it, and I don't judge those people for buying their drinks because they're in their own way. They're still giving back that day.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah, because I mean, even, you know, I think that there's people out there that drink all the time that maybe not do like hardcore drugs. Maybe that's not that. But you know what I'm saying? That partake in things that we have decided, okay, I can't do that no more. They're not necessarily wrong, I don't think. You know what I'm saying? I just think for certain people, it doesn't work. And so we have to, that like for me, like drinking, it did not work. Like I tried to make it work for years. It doesn't work.
well, you know, my drug of choice for forever was weed.
Yeah.
And when I got divorced, I started drinking. And drinking just escalated back to the meth, back to the cocaine, back to all the stuff I'd not done for a long time, you know? And someone asked me, they said, when you get off probation, are you going to smoke again? I quit smoking in 2019. And I'm like, man, I sure would like to. You know, that's my stress reliever. That's my zone that I like to be in.
Yeah.
But I also know that will lead to
it opens the gate for
being comfortable again.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if I can smoke weed and I'm still living okay, I think I could have a beer.
Yep.
And then the next thing you know, I'm having a 6-pack.
Yeah.
The next thing you know, I'm at the bar again. And then the next thing you know, I'm in the Coke man's driveway. And then the next thing you know, I'm dead. Or I'm in jail. And it's not worth the risk anymore.
I was talking to a guy and we were kind of having the conversation steered this way. And I was telling him something that I've noticed. It's like the more I get sometimes the more I get more confident about okay, I've beat it. Those are the times where I feel like, okay, go have a beer, Joe. You can control it now. That's scary.
Well, it goes back to exactly what you were talking about a minute ago. Some people can.
And that's the thing. I watch other people take care of it. Like my wife, she can have a beer or two at dinner and then not drink for a month.
Yep.
And she's like, why don't, she's always so confused at me. Like, you can't do this. I'm like, I literally can't.
I think a lot of the difference is we opened the door and we let that animal out. That one that said, I got to have more. I want more. Yeah. I'm not done. Okay. I feel pretty good, but I want to feel better.
Right.
Better, more. And we can close that door, but if we ever open that door again, it's instant, boom, to that point.
Yeah.
It's not a gradual thing where, I can have a few beers and I'll be good again. No, because we've already tasted that seclusion that comes from it, that being hidden from your emotions, all that release that comes out of that. We've already experienced that full bliss of it. And we know it's nothing at all or that.
Yeah, because I quit for 6 months, like 2 years ago. No, not 2 years ago. In 2022, I quit for like 6 months. And I was like, dude, I'm a badass. I'm in control of this. And I never went to no meetings or nothing ever. I finally was just like, I don't like this. This is what needs to happen. Bam, 6 months. Then I was like, all right. It was almost like I proved to myself, okay, I can do this. You know what I'm saying? Let's ease back into it. Between June and January of that next year, January 1st, when I did eventually just stop altogether, it was just before, like, it was at the bowling alley. We had the sweeper. I bowl a lot. I'm in a bunch of leagues and stuff. On New Year's, it's the big tournament. Everybody, you're there all night. Everybody gets wasted. So that night, I was like, okay, this is it. It's my last hurrah. So, I mean, I drank probably like 14 beers that night. And when I woke up, I had never drank again. But I felt comfortable, like I could do this. I could control this. And then to the point where I was like, let's see how good a control I got.
I was never a big drinker either, man. And when going through the separation, the divorce and all that, it does. It gets all your emotions stirred up. And weed, I wasn't smoking weed anymore. So I had to find something to kind of curb all that emotion and hide behind. So I started going out. I wanted to go see the music. I wanted to go listen. Music is my vibe. I'm going to go to the music. Well, I'd have a couple beers. I'm like, okay, no problem. Do that 2 or 3 days a week. No big deal. Then I looked up and I had a 30-pack in my floorboard every day. And I'm like, what the hell happened?
Yeah.
And the last night I drank, man, I went to Fat Jack's and I remember going in and ordering a steak. Fat Jack's has the best steak in town. Sorry to anybody that disagrees with that.
I know that.
Yeah. They only have one steak on the menu. It is worth every bit of that. Marlon Lineberry, don't forget you owe me a steak. But yeah, I ordered a steak and a bucket of beers. And I woke up in my house the next day. And I was like, I literally woke up in the living room floor and I'm looking around. I'm like, what the hell happened? You know? And man, I was always pretty good about calling a cab or having a bartender call a cab or somebody coming and get me. You know, my 4Runner at the time sat in the bar parking lot many a nights.
Right.
You know, and bro, I didn't know what happened. And I pulled up my bank app. I spent $168 at Fat Jack's that night.
I hate that when you wake up the next day.
Dude, I left Fat Jack's, went to the Arrow. I didn't even know I went to the Arrow till somebody told me like a week later that I'd gone. And man, I was sitting there. I drove home. I walked to my front door and I looked outside and there was my 4Runner in the driveway. And I'm like, there's nobody else here.
I must have done it.
So I drove home. Jeez. And I tried to fight somebody in the parking lot of Fat Jack's that was trying to keep me from driving home. You know, and they finally just said, like, I can't do it, you know? And I lived in Nash. So I got on state line, drove down the interstate and back through Nash. You know, and
going through Nash like that is wild. That's crazy activity.
Bro, I didn't remember any of it.
Yeah, because Nash flashed me out there.
1 second of that drive, not 1 second of even leaving out of Fat Jack's did I remember.
Wow.
And dude, when I seen my truck in the driveway, I was like, bro, I'm done.
Yeah.
Dude, I could have killed me. I could have killed somebody else.
Yeah.
How did I even make it home without going to jail? You know, and I was kind of already on that path of destruction. I kind of seen my probation officers were already pissed off at me. You know, I'd already failed a couple UAs and stuff, and I kind of knew it was coming. And so that was my last hurrah, I guess you could say. But man, it was an eye-opening moment in that hurrah that, dude, I said right then and there, God, I'm done. You know, God blessed me by letting me get home without killing myself, killing somebody else, or anything to that. And it was that I got blessed that morning by being allowed to wake up. And dude, I never touched it again. You know, I went into jail sober and to come out of jail sober, my probation officer said, that's pretty good accomplishment right there. That you can pass a UA after you got out of jail. I was like, yeah, there's a lot of drugs in jail.
Yeah, there's a ton of drugs in jail.
A ton of drugs. I watch guys smoke weed in that place every day, you know? Yeah. And I've seen a bottle of rum passed around, you know? And I'm like, I don't even want to know how that got in here. Yeah. And I'm definitely not drinking it, but, you know, it's there. And, man, I've been clean and sober ever since. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you there hasn't been temptation.
Right.
I was in a drug court and they started a peer group to replace a meeting. And I was one of the facilitators for peer group, you know, because I literally accomplished drug court, passed drug court. They asked me to facilitate. They knew the things I was doing in the community. They see me as a positive role model at probation now, which is great. You know, I don't have to. Every time I go up there, before it was, am I going to jail today? Yeah. Now I know I'm not, you know, because I know I can pass my drug test. I'm paying my money. I'm doing good. And man, I left out there one day and I told Chase this story. I drove straight to the Rock House liquor store and didn't even realize it. I mean, I look up and I'm sitting at the Rock House liquor store parking lot and I'm like, what is going on?
It's like you just tapped into some old pattern, huh?
Dude, I was over 2 years sober at that point.
Yeah.
You know, and I sat there and I'm like, why am I here?
Yeah.
You know, and I'm looking at that door and there wasn't the urge to go in and buy anything. There wasn't an urge to drink, but it's just the fact I just left the place I'd spent 6 months locked up in and I drove straight there.
Wow.
Without any, just on a mission, just drove there. And I sat there for a little while, man, and thought about calling my sponsor and I'm like, no, got this.
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked in my mirror and I said, this is not who I am. Put in reverse and I backed out and I left. You know, but it was just, like you said, I kind of tapped into an old pattern.
Yeah.
Because there were a lot of times that I left that building just frustrated and like, let's go have a beer, screw it, you know? Yeah. And it did. It got so bad, man. I was going and having beer before I went to probation. Because I was at
this
that
is gonna
point.
be stressful as hell. Let me check a
Dude, it was bad. You know, you're at that point. You know, you failed some UAs, so it's like, fuck it.
Yeah, they're gonna say, "Oh no, you're good. You're good." I guess.
let's just drink. You know, screw it. I mean, I'm gonna go to jail anyway. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
And man, it took a while to get over that feeling. Because I got arrested twice at probation. You know, show up and they're like, "You're going to jail today." You know, and it's like, shit. And dude, for a while, even after I was probably a year sober, I still had the same routine of making sure I had on clean underwear, clip your fingernails.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stop and I'm gonna get something real good to eat before I go.
Just in case.
And then I'm gonna smoke 2 cigarettes, stand on the steps, and then I'm going upstairs. You know, and man, I don't have to do that anymore.
That's
you know,
nice.
and I'm so proud of that.
Yeah.
Just that I broke that pattern.
Yeah. Well, man, it's been great. It's getting late, man. Anything else you want to say to the good people out there?
Come out, support the events that we put on.
The events.
The Recovery Road Music Festival is going to be a huge event.
Yeah, sounds like
it's $25 a day for people to get in. 12 and under get in for free.
That's cool.
On Saturday only, if we will have a vendor area. If you want to come in, vendors will open up at 8 a.m. that morning. So for Saturday only, it is $5 to get into the vendor area. So if you don't want to stay for the music, you don't have to pay the full $25. And then if you do that and you decide you want to stay for the music, you can go back to the entry and you'll pay $15 and save yourself $5 and get to stay for the whole day.
Oh, wow.
So we're trying to make it fun. We want our vendors to be successful as well.
Right.
They're really what make the events great is the musicians and the vendors. I'm just there to kind of direct the show. But yeah, the events we put on downtown, now come out and support them.
Yeah.
You know, there's still a lot of great people out there doing great things. It's not just myself. It's Darby. It's Colton Foltz, Chase Livingston, and so many others. You know, come out and support the stuff they're doing. And we'll keep doing stuff. You know, that's the thing. We'll keep doing it.
Yeah, if they show up, you keep doing it.
That's it. You know, we're not in this for the money. I can tell you that. It's definitely not going to make me rich. But man, we walk away with a feeling of giving back to our community, and that's really what it's all about.
I like it. I feel like that's a good point to end it, man. This has been another episode, 180 Creator Interview. Jason Butler, Recovery Road Productions. I'm excited, man. It was great to talk to you. And thank you for coming to the show, man.
I appreciate you having me on, brother.
Yes, sir. Y'all be blessed.